I made the 4 steps up, planted both my feet on the deck, and as soon as I did, all I saw was the door open in and to the right. Once was a white door, is now a black void, orange muzzle blast. Just saw that first shot, and it's such that adrenaline kicks in immediately, and everything starts to go in slow motion.
I do not know you, but I am your brother.
You do not know me, but I am your protector.
I will run into a burning building to save your life.
Though I do not know your name, I will take a bullet for you.
Though we've never met,
I believe in duty and sacrifice
of self.
Your family is my family.
Is my family. Your life is my duty.
What's going on, guys? Time for another episode of Behind the Uniforms. We are here on location in beautiful, sunny Florida. I'm very excited and honored to introduce you to this man in 1 second. First, I want to let you know what we're doing out here. Our friends at Enforce and Law Enforcement today brought us out here for the Heroes Weekend, put on by the Wounded Officers Initiative. Okay, I'm done. I'll shut up. Tell them who you are.
Tell them who I am. Well, at the time I left law enforcement, retired, was a 20-year veteran. I had worked for probably 6 different police departments throughout my career, and unfortunately in 2011, April 4th, I was shot 5 times in the line of duty.
Jeez.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that first?
Sure.
Let's do it. Because, and let's clear the air on a couple of things. You may recognize this guy, sort of a big deal in the firearms world. You don't suck at shooting.
No. I've come around a little bit, you could say.
So much so that you're sponsored by a company, I hear?
Yeah, right now, you might have heard of it, Glock has given me the opportunity to become a brand ambassador and the only adaptive shooter. So, yeah,
that's awesome.
Pretty much.
He had a little bit of a come to Jesus moment with me right before this because I confessed to Father Jim that I don't have any Glocks, so...
Everybody has issues. That may be yours. That's
my
all.
bigger issue is that I live in Connecticut, but okay. we won't even go there.
They have moving trucks.
All right, let's talk about your story. Talk to me about that day.
Yeah, it was April 4th, like I said. Nothing different about the day. I was working a shift for 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Started running the shift with 2 of my partners at the time. Get a call at about 11:15, and it came in as not a domestic. It came in as a disturbance. The disturbance was a duplex, and the people that called were the people at 860 Miller Avenue, and what was going on was 858. And they knew something was bad. They just couldn't tell us what. They said it was out of the ordinary, some yelling going on. So we arrive at the scene. As police officers do, we roll up blacked out, no lights on, come up, try and assess what we can see at the house. I lead to go in through the back. My partner, John, stays at the front door to try and make contact, and Matt stands on the side of the house with a long gun to cover both of us. So when I run to the back door, there's 4 steps that go up onto a deck, and the deck is literally not much bigger than this table. It's just to get to the door. The first time I went up, I saw a crack in the door. I went up, was going to go try and get in, and shuts immediately right in front of me. So I kicked the door. Of course, it's got to be a steel door. Doesn't do anything, it just leaves my boot print. So I come back off the porch, tell my guys I made contact. Well, I didn't know they made contact up front either. However, the contact they made, they knew something was wrong. The guy was very short with them and slamming the door in their face. I said, well, let's go back here and see what we can do. So I come up, gun out, ready to go. I didn't exactly see where John and Matt were behind me, but I later found out John was literally right behind me, like at the base of the deck. I made the 4 steps up, planted both my feet on the deck, and as soon as I did, all I saw was the door open in and to the right. Once was a white door, is now a black void, orange muzzle blast. Just saw that first shot, and it's such that adrenaline kicks in immediately, and everything starts to go in slow motion. I knew I'd getting shot. I'm wondering, why aren't I shooting back? First shot took my gun arm out, hit me right down in my forearm, traveled down to my elbow, and stopped, and literally lost use right there and lost my gun. Couldn't fire back. So then I know that I'm being shot at, but I have nowhere to go until the next thing I realize, I just feel everything come out from underneath me. And we figured out it was about the 4th round, hit me in my vest, in my left chest area, but went through the vest, all the way into my chest, went down through my left lung, destroyed most of the lung, and then crossed my T11 vertebrae, instantaneously paralyzing me. So I went from standing 6 foot tall, immediately hit the ground. My head went through the spindle on one of the decks, busted that out, and I just sat there. Just sat there. Well, in my time, I thought it was just normal timing, but what it was is it was seconds. I looked up as I was laying there on the floor. I was looking for all my, what's going on? I'm looking for my radio. I'm trying to talk. I can't find it. Can't find my firearm. I'm having a hard time breathing, real hard time breathing. And then I see somebody step over me, and I figured it was one of the guys that just shot me. I just put my head to the side and waited for the last bullet. Really, and what they were doing was running across me to get away. And it was at least one of the 2 suspects that ran out. My partners gave chase. So then I'm just sitting there trying to figure out what's going on. And after I couldn't make contact and I couldn't find my gun, I just realized this was really bad. I could feel the amount of blood coming out of my left side of my body. And I knew at that time I'm trying to move, and I started hitting my own leg, and I'm like, yeah, well, that's not working. What do you got to do? Kept trying to get my breath, trying to breathe in as hard as I can to just yell out, yell out. And while I'm doing this, I just realized, you know, if I just kind of relaxed a little bit more and laid back, this isn't so bad. I haven't felt pain yet. And I just felt this eerie calm. I knew that if I just took that last breath and breathed in and let it out and closed my eyes, I'm done, I'm gone. But in no way in my mind was I gonna let that happen. I said, as long as I can get that breath in and start talking and hear myself, I'm alive. But also at the same time, you've heard people say they had that near-death experience. I had it. I was near death. It wasn't like experiencing it at all, but you could see all those important faces in life. My mother, my father, my fiance, Chris. Our dogs were everything to us. 2 German Shepherds, would love them. Chris trains them all the time. And I could see those 2 dogs sitting on my chest with their mouths panting. Like, yeah, this is nothing. You tell me you can't breathe? I saw my grandmother, and I said, that's it, I'm done. I just started getting up as much breath as I could and yelling out, I'm hit, I'm down, I need help. And Matt, my partner that had the long gun, just got to the end of the yard, which was about another 15, 20 yards away, giving chase, and he turns back around, he heard something, and he brings the rifle level up on me. With the flashlight sees it's me. At the time we were dressed in all black BDUs, so really couldn't see us that well. And he just put the rifle up and said, oh my God, it's Jimmy. Now Matt's about 5'9". At the time I was 6 foot with all my gear on, probably about 205. He comes over, slings the rifle around, pulls me off the porch, gets me up on his shoulder in a fireman's carry while John gives cover and takes us out to the front. I say he threw me down. Matt says he placed me down. So this was the second time I struck my head. And I could hear the sirens coming now. And Matt said, Jimmy, this is going to hurt. I got to tear everything off you. Matt was an EMT as well. Tears my shirt off, tears my vest off, and says, hey, this is really going to hurt. And he reached up and grabbed my chest, and that's the first time I felt pain. And boy, did it hurt. They got me ready, got me on the ambulance, down to the trauma center in the city of Pittsburgh. We have 3. I got one of the best. I was awake through the whole ambulance ride. That's a whole nother story. Got through the ambulance ride in 17 minutes to the hospital. Was supposed to go life flight because we have an operational steel mill where I work. They have a helipad. Too much rain. It was one of the biggest downpour rains at the beginning of April they had. And everybody was out searching for these guys, and I'm just figured, well, I missed that fun. I'd have rather been out there. Helicopter couldn't come, so the ambulance took us. 17 minutes later, I get to the hospital. I remember seeing the trauma surgeon, and then everything went white. I'm like, now I look back, I'm like, isn't everything supposed to go black? So I'm like, white was good, thinking maybe I was going up. And I didn't know if I was going to wake up. And I woke up probably about a good 15 hours later. After some major surgery, they did thoracotomy, so they opened my chest up from over here to all the way underneath my armpit. And later on, talking to a trauma surgeon a year later at the trial, he had said that he was literally both hands inside my chest scooping out the blood and lung material because I was bleeding out, just to keep me alive. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
They did it.
Yeah.
You woke up. Then what?
I woke up, and oddly enough, since they hadn't gotten who shot me, I was kind of hidden away in the hospital. After surgery, they put me in the burn unit in Mercy, and it was a locked unit. So everybody had to have the password to come in, and all this is going on. I don't know this. But I wake up and they tell me I was still intubated. So I started biting on the tube, so they had to put me back out. And then towards the afternoon of the next day, they extubated me and was able to take it out. So when they did that, I woke up looking around, and my son, my mother, my father, and Chris, and I don't know who else. My mother comes over to tell me, she says, Jimmy, she says, you're paralyzed. And I said, yeah, I know. Somehow, even to the day, I don't know why it didn't cross my mind as something terrible. Yeah, it's difficult. But then it wasn't terrible to me, I guess because I already knew. And then from there on started a whole next 8 or 10 days of just agonizing pain. Getting this out of the way for I was in intensive care for 10 days. Did that, and then went shipped right over into another floor at Mercy, where I did the next 37 days in physical rehab to try and they adjust you to life, what it is now, being paralyzed, which was difficult. In the fact that you're basically going from, I lost 25 pounds in those first 10 days. So getting back to being able to move your body, move what you have or can't move what you have or don't have. And then they give you 47 days, we're out, and go back home. Start your life.
What do you deal with now? How long has it been?
Ooh, this was just 7 years. Yeah, just 7 years. What do I do now or deal with now? You know what? For me, it's not a big deal. I guess in my mind has processed it in the best way it could. It wasn't, I don't think I ever had those moments where it was, yeah, sure, at the beginning I was like, what am I going to do with my life? You know, this is nothing I ever thought of in my law enforcement career could happen. Yeah, we trained and you went through all kind of things, and you went through street survival. I did it 4 times, and you'd say, I'm going to live, or I could die. It was never, hey, there's an option in between there. You never thought about this. And I did a lot of training in my law enforcement career, and it was never something like this. So with my support of my family and Chris is what basically got me through this life to get me to 7 years.
You're an incredibly positive person given everything you've been through.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
I mean, like, you've got a great personality. You're inspiring every single person that you meet.
I try.
I've never heard a bad thing said about you.
Yeah.
How was it easy to center yourself like this? And whatever happened to the guys or the person that did this?
Start with me. I think with the outpouring of support that I had from the community, not just where I worked, everywhere I had worked, all the people I had worked with, people that I had calls with. You know, it was their worst day with their family, a domestic. These people come out of the woodwork and attended just nearly every fundraiser we had. And people put together fundraisers. Some of them I didn't even know, you know, put these things together for me. Actually, even an organization was started around where we were in Western Pennsylvania from friends of mine that were doing the fundraisers. They put together it is a charity, but it's called the Western Pennsylvania, I can't remember this, Western Pennsylvania Police Benevolent Fund. And it basically was, hey, this is what happens sometimes. We're the guys that organize this all from the day Jimmy was shot. We want to do this for cops in the area. So these guys started that for me, and now it carries on.
That's incredible.
So it had all kind of stuff. The positive thing with me is I have 2 options. I can be miserable, or I can just be the, I guess, pain in the ass, smart ass I was before, and just carry it on through here. If I'm doing this and I got to keep going through the pain, I got to have it funny.
No doubt.
You know, this is fun. I'm at number 57, falling out of the chair. We just number them to see where was this my stupidity or did somebody else push me out? So stuff like that.
What happened to the guy?
What happened to the guys? You got enough time?
Yeah. 2?
Within 2 weeks, they got the first guy, which was at the time an 18-year-old, Marcus Andraco. So they put him in prison. Meanwhile, they had already arrested 2 prior, and then they cleared them within a short period of time. within 6 months, we were supposed to go to trial very early and very fast. In would have been October, we were going to go to trial on him. But then all of a sudden, unbeknownst to me, they find out through a confidential informant the shooter. And literally what he was planning on doing was going to do another home invasion on a woman who they knew they were going to do this to. So they had to take, the guys that found this out had to really go take him off right away. They had already set up 2 times where they had a confidential wire on the confidential informant to pick up that this guy admitted to being the shooter and shot me, and they should have come back and killed me. They bring him in. Once they did the interview and interrogation, he admitted to it there. Done deal. You know, I know the detectives from the county. They had ATF, they had FBI involved, and they had the DEA involved because it was a drug case initially that brought him to the forefront. And so this was Emilio Rivera. At the time, he was 26. We find out later, you know, through the trial, they went to this home to do a ripoff. It's a drug dealer's home, okay? So he lives there with his wife and 2 kids. So this is a family affair. 2 kids you can't blame, but the mother and everything. These 2 literally knocked on the back door at, you know, 10:45 at night. Hey, FBI, let us in. They let him in.
Come on.
Yeah. So they pistol whip the husband, take them all down in the basement. They end up putting the gun in the boy's mouth and said, we're going to kill him if you don't give us the drugs and the money. So they take her, the wife, Emilio does, takes her upstairs, and they start rummaging for the cash and for the drugs. And then he takes her further up to the bedrooms, and he's about to rape her. He takes her pants down and everything, and this is her describing it, that he was all up kissing on her neck and everything, saying, damn, you got a nice ass, all these things, and he's going to rape her. We arrived just as that was happening, and that's the only thing that stopped the rape. And then everything started kind of flowing to where they're going to leave, and they both say to each other, by the victim's statement, we're going to have to shoot our way out of here. I took the back door, could have been the front door. It's kind of like that 50-50 thing, you know. So, so that was that. Now, trial, 5.5-week trial. Shouldn't have been nearly that long, but with everything they had to put in, they had to bring everybody in, you know, victims, witnesses, the jury had to be picked. So I was sequestered for the first 4 days of the trial, and I sat at home. Chris takes her mother on the Friday of that first week. Now, you know, they go through the juries. If you've ever been involved in a jury, they ask questions. Both sides ask questions. They can you know, cross ones off. They only have so many choices, and then here's your jury. So they ask all the jurors questions. Do you know any of these people? Were you involved with any of these people? No, we're good. So we have our jurors. When you figure you have 2 alternates and 12. Chris's mom goes, Chris, hey, I know one of the girls on the jury. She's like, how do you know it? Just be quiet, Mom, let's listen. So at the end of the day, they're driving home, and Chris says, all right, what are you talking about? She goes, okay, the girl we saw sitting on the jury, yes, she worked with me and Emilio Rivera's sister in the nursing home. What do you mean? She goes, we all 3 worked together. So she knows her, who's sitting right behind her brother in the courtroom.
Get out of here.
So while they're driving home, they call me. I call the lead detective. They said, okay, since it's Friday, we'll bring it up. We'll bring that up to the prosecution first thing Monday morning. So they bring her in the judge's chamber. Well, yeah, I did work with her. Gone. So they threw her off the jury. Bring in an alternate. The alternate sits on the jury. That's fine. The courtroom was one of the smallest courtrooms in the courthouse. It's an old courthouse. I mean, we're talking 1800s probably this place was built. It's all stone. Used to be part of the jail was connected to it. So literally where I sit, the jury is probably within 10 feet of me, and then there's only this nice little walkway to get out to the door. So I'm sitting there like this, and I have chairs to my right, and I have chairs to the back. Only 2 rows of seating in the gallery. So the one day, lunchtime, they're going to have the jury file out. We just sit there and wait. The door opens up this way, and it would keep hitting me where my knee is. So I just finally grab the knob and hold it for everybody walking out. The last juror, a female, just goes, thank you. I went, you're welcome, and I let go. one of the two defense attorneys tried to use that as grounds for a mistrial.
Come on.
Went to the judge and said, we find out that the victim, me, James, was talking to a member of the jury. So they had to bring that juror in, ask her what was said, ask her if she talked to me. Yes, I said, thank you. He said, you're welcome. So they had to bring me in. I said, yes, that's all I said. So now, when they start court in the afternoon, the judge had to go and openly state, yes, it was brought to our attention that Officer Kuzak may have spoken to the jury. He did in this manner. In no way was it a conversation. Just understand, to the Kuzak family, there is no contact to be made with any jurors. No problem. I'll sit here. I won't do a thing. Then, on another day, my parents are sitting near me or by me. They've never been through a trial. They don't know how this works. They're literally 15 feet away from the defendant. So my dad, of course, is sometimes sitting there just staring at this guy. Defense attorney says to the judge, would you please stop having the Kuzak family intimidate my defendant? So the judge had to say, would the members of the Kuzak family please don't make any comments, any gestures. My dad was just staring at him. Did not do anything else. Okay, so that's like the first week and a half of the trial. All this has happened. So now I testify. I testify on my day. I get a side pain that starts sometimes. It's just very excruciating painful. It's just, they call it at-level injuries. Happened while I was on the stand. They tried to, at that time, so I couldn't speak when it was happening, and I doubled over. At that time, the defense said, oh, you can't let them see this. So they file the jury out. They're like, he did that on purpose. I'm like, I don't do that on purpose. Sometimes it happens. I don't have control of it. So they bring him in. They tried to make a mistrial out of that.
Come on.
Yeah. Keep going. What was the next one? Oh, I'm sitting there another day, and an older gentleman sits next to me, and I see him on the legal pad, yellow legal pad. He keeps going. He goes, hey, I don't remember his name, but he says to me, I'm retired out of Baldwin. I said, okay, nice to see you. What are you doing here? He goes, well, I was hired by that defense attorney. He goes, I'm taking all the notes because he's going to write a book on this incident.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going, wow, this just can't get any better. You're going to sit there and take notes on this because he's going to write a book because he thinks this is going to get him known. Well, what we find out later on is it is going to get him something. See, he's the defense attorney for Marcus Andrenko, the younger kid whose grandparents are footing the bill for his retainer. The other one has an attorney on his last leg, a gentleman who's probably not far from believing it's still the 60s. He's a gentleman probably around 60-ish at the time, with a ponytail that comes down to his back. It's gray. Starts out wearing a suit, but by day 3, he's now wearing like just maybe a pair of khaki pants, whatever shirt he could find, and a tie. At some point, he finds jeans, wears the court. Also, we noticed him reading, looks like War and Peace, while his defense attorney's on trial.
Did he smell like patchouli by chance?
No. I thought he was going to smell like weed, but maybe later. Find him reading that book, sleeping. So this is that attorney, all these things going on. Then, when it got to the point where the prosecution is putting on most of our case, they bring up when the confidential informant has to testify. They ask him, have you ever been, threatened by the people that you're, testifying against? He's like, yes. We'll describe what happened. He says, well, I was in a parking lot meeting these other dudes for some case and other stuff going on because he's probably still involved in criminal activity. These two dudes in the chair said, we know what you did. So what are you talking about? We know what you did and we're going to get you running your mouth against Emilio. I say, I don't know what you're talking about. He says, well, how do you know this? He says, because those two guys back there in the courtroom are the ones that were sitting there threatening me. So two younger gentlemen, I will say, in their attire that was gang-like, were sitting behind us. They immediately were arrested and charged with witness intimidation.
Get out of here.
Mm-hmm. So that happened in our courtroom. Mm-hmm. Yeah. To tell you how old the courtroom was, we have in-the-window air conditioner. It was a very small courtroom. It was over in the corner closest to the judge. It's a packed courtroom. But they couldn't hear on this side of the courtroom because of the old air conditioner. Oh, so then we'd have to shut it off to the point where then it'd be like 90 degrees in there. So then you have to turn it back on. All this stuff is happening all through the trial.
So everybody right now is wondering.
We have no idea what's going on. Oh, you want to know what happened there?
Yeah.
I'm not done.
The anticipation's killing me.
Not done. A young black female was on the jury. Chris notices as they are filing the defendants out one day that she makes a physical gesture towards one of the defendants and goes, blows him a kiss. This is a juror. Yeah, that doesn't look good. So that's one of the other things that happened. And Chris will be able to tell you more of the things that happened, but let's get to the point. Comes to the day where we're going to get the decision. We're sitting there. I told all the deputies, sheriffs, I said, please watch my father, because I don't know what's going on in his head. So if something bad comes out of this, he's 10 feet from these guys. Just watch him. Okay. So they go on the major counts. Emilio Rivera is going to be found guilty. He's found guilty of the home invasion, the attempted rape, attempted homicide, the battery, all that fun stuff, okay? Marcus Andreyko, I'll make it easy, acquitted.
What?
Everything.
What?
Acquitted. Better attorney, remember? Bad attorney, good attorney. Let's keep my client's name out of this whole trial, which he pretty much did a good job of. Now, did Emilio Rivera get convicted of anything that happened to me? No. Not a conviction on attempted homicide on a law enforcement officer, not shooting me, nothing. The jury, and I don't even remember how we found this out, probably during the jurors' poll, they said, well, we didn't get to see the guns. We would have liked to see the guns. Yeah, so would have I. We don't have guns. We only have a bullet here and a bullet we found at the scene that came from a gun. There's no bullet casing, so we know that it's probably a revolver. So all that stuff happened. Now, he gets sentenced to 50 to 100 years. He's in jail. He's never getting out. I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me. But the problem we had was the victim, the wife, excuse me, again, she's the wife of a drug dealer. So a lot of this that's happening to her and her family is not something that hasn't been foreseen. So when they interviewed her on stand, I wasn't there, but when I saw them at the preliminary hearing, she went through her whole story of this stuff, never shed a tear, about a gun being stuck in her kid's mouth, nothing. So she's just very wishy-washy about how this works, and it's no big deal.
Day in the life.
Now, when it comes to trial, Marcus Andreyko is a biracial male that has, I don't even know how to describe it, other than he has hair that could easily be cornrowed. And Emilio Rivera is a somewhat darker skin, maybe in between, of Mexican descent, Puerto Rican descent, I'm not sure. And that's how he is. Well, when they were at the house committing the crimes, Emilio had cornrows and were long, went down here. Marcus Andreyko didn't. Come trial, Emilio Rivera has his hair pulled straight tight into a ponytail. Marcus Andreyko has his hair braided. She couldn't figure out which one. And she couldn't remember which one had which gun. One a revolver, one a semi-auto. You know, these people watch, you know, CSI. You guys got to know this stuff. So these are things jurors go through now.
So let me ask you this. All said and done, do you forgive either one of them?
Well, I don't even have the care to think about them. So I haven't gone through the whole process of, you know, yes, I'm a Catholic. Yes, I have that background. You should forgive everybody. I haven't even thought about it to even forgive them about it. I would love to sit down with Emilio. Love to go up to the jail and sit there and talk across from him. I'd love it.
Why haven't you?
I don't know that I can. I haven't tried. Just to see what he has to say. The only other problem, what I don't want to do is I don't want to stoke the fire, because some of his family members still live in that town and are not on the good side of the law.
Got it.
On their own realm. So why poke the bear? You know, so.
What message can you give people, whether it be other wounded officers or their families? What can you share with them?
I can tell you that having been here last year, opened my eyes a little bit to someone's always going to have a rougher day than you. somebody's going to have rougher days than you. Some people may think I've got the worst that's in the world. No, I'm quite happy. And I do everything I can to tell people that that bad day will be gone and there will be another day. We made it. We are alive. You have to enjoy every day of that. Avery says, not often you get given a second chance. I was given a second chance and then some. Okay, so I think the people that might see this need to say, yeah, I need to get my friend involved in this Wounded Officers Initiative. Or, why do I see my friend who was injured sitting here with literally nothing on his table to do? You know, a lot of things disappear when we get injured. You know, you're not at the station with the camaraderie of the guys. You don't get invited to that stuff anymore. You lose that sense of importance. You know, you went out there, people saw you every day, everybody knows you. Now, you might not have that core group of friends anymore. We were told in the hospital a lot of things are going to change. You're going to lose a lot of friends that you thought were the greatest, but you will gain even greater friends. Nothing truer has been said. So to be involved with this organization, I think will do wonders for any family that becomes involved.
Brother, I am super appreciative
Thank you,
that you
Kyle.
were open about this.
Appreciate that.
Guys, thank you all so much for watching. It's going to take you 2 seconds to hit the share, literally 2 seconds to hit the share button. It's so important that we get these stories out there because you hear nothing but the media coming after police these days.
They do.
And it's so important that we show the other side of all of this. So
Good.
share this video. You may just save a life. Thanks for watching. God bless America.